Does it make for good business sense to keep investing in a segment that has remained static for over a decade? Well, if you think that's a redundant question, think again. Consider this. The Diet Cola category contributes, believe it or not, less than 1% to the overall revenue of the cola segment. Despite the fact that Diet Colas have existed in India for now over a decade, the category has remained largely static. Abhinav Trivedi explores the reasons behind this category under-delivering and why the cola majors continue to invest in a segment that seems to be showing no sign of returns.
When was the last time you had a Diet Cola? The question may seem rather queer to an urban consumer, but for an average middle-class Indian, the question stands as valid today as it was a decade ago. Despite India being one of the largest consumer-driven markets and the diabetes capital of the world, the revenue contribution of the Diet Cola category in the overall cola segment is as low as 1%. And the interesting data point here is that its contribution has remained static for the last decade. Although the category is growing at a compounded annual growth rate of 18%, the segment base is so low that this growth number is largely insignificant. And despite these startling numbers, both Pepsi and Coke continue to invest in this category.
It's all linked to consumption and per capita. These indulgent categories like chocolates and colas, the consumption is so less in India. Unlike the bread and the oil, they're not a part of our everyday life. The per capita of colas is only 14 in India, which means every Indian drinks one bottle a month. Versus America, where the per capita is 500, which means everybody is drinking more than one bottle every day. Now, if you're drinking one bottle in a month, and even if it has sugar, how much does it affect you? It really does not. It's hardly any consumption. So as per capita grows in indulgent categories and they become a part of our life, and we consume them every day or faster, the diet versions will start coming in it, because we'll become more conscious that, oh, I'm having it every day, I need to have the healthier version.
Traditionally, consumers would pick and choose from a portfolio of options. And whether they pick a regular soft drink or a regular Coke, or they pick a Diet Coke, would depend on both their taste preference as well as their desire for the calories or no calories. In India right now, because the consumption levels and the per capita consumption levels of soft drinks and of Coke are much lower than in other parts of the world, the frequency of consumption and the desire to switch to lower calorie options hasn't been so high.
What's noteworthy is really behavior patterns when it comes to cola consumption. Non-metros, believe it or not, still largely consume colas at social gatherings, and it is still not an everyday beverage item. Diet Colas are gradual progression from the regular drinkers of cola. But given the already under-penetrated non-metro market, the challenge to market Diet Cola becomes twice as hard, thanks to godmen like Ramdev, who continually propagate the side effects of fizzy drinks. Another aspect is that of perception, where the common belief is that Diet Colas are medicated products and should only be consumed by diabetic patients.
अगर 10 आदमी मेरे पास आता है कोल्ड ड्रिंक खरीदने के, तो उसके पीछे एक आदमी डाइट का खरीदते हैं, बाकी का 9 आदमी रेगुलर ही खरीदते हैं। तो डाइट का है ना, सबको टेस्ट नहीं जमता है डाइट का। नॉर्मल जो किसी को डायबिटीज़ का प्रॉब्लम है, कुछ ऐसा ही वो डाइट लेने वाला रहता है, बाकी का नॉर्मली यूज करते हैं।
डाइट 0% ही लेते हैं। जो लोग एक अपर लेवल के लोग हैं वो लोग ही डाइट आइटम लेते हैं, बाकी सब लोग डाइट आइटम परचेस नहीं करते। ऐसा इसके लिए कि सब लोग को डाइट के बारे में अभी कॉन्शियस नहीं है, इतने समझदार नहीं है। बाकी नॉर्मल लोग हैं उनके तो ऐसे ही डाइट हो जाती है, तो उनको डाइट की ज़रूरत ही नहीं पड़ती।
Well, the first challenge for this category, for the Diet Cola category, clearly will be how do you ensure that consumers see the need for a proposition that is low sugar and are able to balance, therefore, the delivery that comes with it. So I think one is, do consumers today actively believe they need to seek low sugar options and substitutes? The fact is that they love the taste of their existing brands. They're not consuming high quantities. We are a low per cap market. And so consumers are not quite convinced that they need to shift to a low calorie beverage. That being said, they also, if they were to shift to a low calorie beverage, the next question would be, is this the kind of taste and the kind of refreshment that I expect from this experience? And again, in a category that's driven by taste and refreshment, I think that's the second challenge that diet beverages do face.
Also, there is a larger, I think, just sort of a sense of the fact that because the perception of the taste is that it is a little, a sense of the chemical is a little more pronounced in the case of a diet cola. I think that adds to the fact that it therefore becomes a question as to whether it is actually the healthier option or not.
Coca-Cola Zero tastes exactly like the original Coca-Cola, but with zero sugar.
FMCG analysts state that the category's inconsistent advertising and insufficient media spends by the cola companies have aided to the segment being largely unknown and alien to the average Indian consumer. The lack of consistent visibility, coupled with lack of distribution, has portrayed Diet Colas as a very niche product and hence a distant choice.
If you were to look at number of stores where you will find a cola, right, and you go and explore a Diet Cola will be present in about, let's say, half the stores of where the cola would be present. So availability per se is a bigger challenge out there. The second is it's an impulse category. You need to be constantly on the minds of the consumers and drive that impulse to the extent. So if you were to look at the media, the majority of the media investments, which is the spends on the advertisements, are only centered around traditional colas.
See, reach of a product is, there's a little bit of a chicken and egg, obviously, that one is where there's enough, there's a concept called density of demand. If there is a small geography where there is enough density of demand of consumers, then it makes sense to make a product available there. See, advertising is not the only way to reach consumers, especially when the consumer base that you're talking about is very narrow and very small. And so what we do is we use events and we use point of sale, digital and other means to get to consumers with products, with brands like Diet Coke.
The question then is, in a huge market like India, where tea and coffee continue to be the dominant beverage choice, is the Diet Cola category, which is moving at a snail's pace, even worth investing? And what should be done to give this largely stagnant category an impetus of sorts?
I think the fact remains that as we see, I mean today in a category that's less than 1% of colas, we've already got two to three different propositions in the market. And I would suspect that that's maybe one proposition too many. So as far as I'm concerned, I think this is a market that we have to wait and watch. We'll continue to invest in terms of building penetration and availability of our products, but invest prudently because we know that there is a growth curve that will happen and that comes with the evolution in the market.
It would be safe to say that in this category, a lot will now depend on the consumer behavior and their global habits, leaving very little scope for strategy deployment by the cola companies. Given the current situation at hand, the Indian chapter of the Diet Colas is clearly yet to begin.